Playing defensive back at a high level is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. It takes supreme instincts. It's arguably the most instinct-driven position on the entire football field.
I can feel him counting the steps, because when I'm running with him, he's not being aggressive enough. He's not trying to run past me. So by you not trying to run past me, I know it's you either doing a comeback or a hitch, or you're going to try to undercut me and go back in.
It comes with a mountain of expectations. You can make a career out of being a great coverage guy and still get ripped apart by fans and media for allowing one big play after a relatively quiet day.
Pass time, throws to the back of the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown.
For a cornerback, one mistake can cast a shadow over every brilliant play you've ever made.
It was just a play that we had designed for that particular play. Defensively, it should have been a pick six.
What?
108 yards the other way. One low, one middle low, one high middle, one in the corner middle.
Yeah.
So
who was the culprit? So what happened? Who was the culprit? No, who was the culprit?
It was DRC.
I bring this up to highlight the impact a corner can have on the game, not to diminish DRC's legacy. Antrel Roll said this in the same interview.
So
Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
There you go.
Dominique
Okay,
Rodgers-Cromartie. So in my opinion, one of the most gifted corners I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In my eyes, he's supposed to be the first $100 million corner.
On the lonely island that is the cornerback position, one tiny mistake can turn into football folklore that teammates are still talking about on podcasts years later.
Interesting with DB statistics that usually happen. Like a guy cannot have a lot of picks, but guys just aren't targeting him.
Yeah,
that's a big. I mean,
that's like number 2 for us. I only get targeted probably like once a game.
Who's number? Oh, DP.
Yeah, he been playing so good. This year.
Like, DP. Listen, no. I always knew DP was a dog. He don't really like I said, like they'll throw to him maybe once or twice a game, but it'll be overthrown. So he's doing his thing. Even though he not super big like the other ones, but remember going against him, he jammed me a couple times, and I had to really like. Yeah, he's one of those. I really had to buck up at him. Yeah, DP. Yeah, he got my respect, man.
Today's defensive backs must master a wide array of techniques and schemes. They must excel in pattern matching coverages that necessitate the skills to think fast and react even faster. It requires the cornerback to transition from zone to main coverage based on the receiver's route. These athletes have to recognize route combinations quickly and adjust their coverage on the fly. Man coverage on the outside receivers while using zone principles inside to counter mesh routes and pick plays, often having to switch responsibilities with fellow defenders mid-play.
Third overtime. Here's Klubnik.
In man coverage, they need to maintain tight coverage without getting flagged for pass interference. In zone, they must read the quarterback's eyes and anticipate routes developing in their zone, making split-second decisions to break on the ball. Miami's Daryl Porter Jr. epitomizes these qualities. In coverage for the Hurricanes last year, he was quietly one of the best cover guys in the nation. He was targeted only 10 times in man and allowed only 2 catches out of all the snaps he played in 2023. Out of the 25 tackle opportunities he was involved in, he only missed 1 tackle in all 2023. One missed tackle he did have on the season, it came against Bethune-Cookman. He was flawless the rest of the year after that. Against arguably 2 of the best receivers he went up against all year, he fared exceptionally well. He held Evan Stewart to just 2 receptions and 18 yards on 5 targets in Week 2 against Texas A&M. Against UNC in Week 7, early in the game, Tez Walker lined up across from Porter and was held to 2 passes for 18 yards. But once UNC moved Tez around to avoid lining up against Daryl, Walker exploded. He went on to catch 3 touchdown passes on 6 catches for 132 yards.
He's in quarters coverage. He sees the safety get a little nosy there. Throws it over the top to Tez Walker.
After Tez was successful when lined up away from Daryl, May did not look his way again the entire game. He wasn't the only quarterback who shot away from Daryl. Daryl was the 4th least targeted corner on the team, while being the undisputed number 1 cover guy. James Williams, Damari Brown, Jaden Davis, Kiko Malagoa, Cameron Kinchins, Corey Couch targeted more than him. Often on passing downs, when the quarterback scanned the field, they avoided number 2 and looked elsewhere. He was so effective on the back end, he was the last place a quarterback looked if they wanted a successful play. He was targeted the most against Texas A&M and Temple, both 6 targets. The most yards he allowed in one game all season was in Week 8 against Clemson. He allowed 1 long 33-yard reception to Antonio Williams and 1 5-yard catch to Troy Stellato. He also had a really nice pass breakup deep in this game.
Can't come up with it against Daryl Porter Jr.
Well, Daryl Porter is there.
Porter was left off all conference teams this past year. His 46.2 reception percentage was tied for 7th in the ACC among those with 250 or more coverage snaps last year. His 114 yards surrendered all year was the second best in the conference and only allowed 6 yards receiving in the bowl game against Rutgers. He also didn't allow any touchdowns in coverage all season. Daryl is just a pleasure to watch if you're a football fan, especially a fan of the defensive back position like I am. He just does it all well. He showcases an exceptional ability to press at the line. His hip fluidity and swivel allow him to transition smoothly out of his back pedal and stick to receivers hip to hip downfield, staying in phase with the receiver throughout the route. He maintains excellent eye discipline, balancing his focus between the quarterback and the receiver, and using every bit of his length and physicality to contest the catch point when he is challenged. And his pursuit angles are sharp. His footwork and agility allow him to mirror routes perfectly, and closing speed helps him break up passes and bring down the receiver for no more gain if he does allow a catch. He understands leverages and positions himself to funnel receivers towards help in zone coverage. He's just a very high IQ player. His hand placement is precise, using the right amount of physicality to stay attached without drawing penalties. His ability to play both tight man and bail techniques gives him versatility, making it incredibly difficult for quarterbacks to find a window to throw into. The only knock you could possibly have on Daryl is his lack of interception numbers, but you can quickly refute this by easily referring to his targets and comparing those to his teammates, or literally any other cornerback in the nation. And he's only going to get better. He wasn't talked about by many last year, especially if you're a casual fan, simply because his name didn't pop a lot because he wasn't involved in a lot of plays. Opposing offensive coordinators would just try to scheme away from him. If he keeps this trajectory, I expect him to rise up draft boards heading into his second and final year in Lance Guidry's defense. Frankly put, being involved in 254 pass snaps and having all 10 quarterbacks you faced all year only target you and challenge you a total of 26 times is just such an incredible stat in itself. He will also have a lot on his plate this upcoming season as Miami's only returning starter in the secondary. The rest of the starters from last year's room are now on NFL rosters, and Daryl plans to follow in their footsteps and possibly get drafted higher than any of those guys did. As always, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be doing a lot more videos during the season, different kinds as well. A few looks at some older players in position rooms since it is the off season. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm open to hearing that as well. There was a huge boost in the channel after my last video. Thank you guys for that. It's not lost on me. Super appreciative, and thank you guys who have been supportive of me so far. You guys have a great day, and thank you.